What's up, St. Philip family? We begin today the Sermon on the Mount, and for the next 6 weeks, we're going to be going over the Sermon on the Mount, this incredible teaching found in the Gospel of Matthew. And this sermon begins with the famous Beatitudes, the heart of Jesus' teaching. St. Augustine, he says that the Sermon on the Mount is the perfect charter of the Christian life, the perfect way and guideline for the Christian life, how to live like Christ, live after Christ. And the heart of that teaching is the Beatitudes. And the Beatitudes, as Jesus proposes them, they contradict the voice of the world, the spirit of the world. That Jesus, beatitude, the word for beatitude actually means happiness. Jesus is telling us, you want to be happy, you want to be fulfilled, you want to have the fullness of life, I will show you how to do it. Here are the Beatitudes. Blessed are you, happy are you, this key to happiness. But the voice of the world tempts us to think that happiness is found in other ways. Tempts us and it's very alluring and seductive. And sometimes we don't even realize it's happening, that we're justifying a lifestyle. We're seeking after happiness in the wrong way, but it only leads to emptiness and pain. And so I thought we could go through the Beatitudes in a very special way. It's sometimes easier to understand something when you know the opposite of the thing. So I wrote the Anti-Beatitudes. So we can go through the Anti-Beatitudes, the voice of the world, so that we can understand more that voice of Christ, the heart of Christ, teaching us true happiness, which contradicts the spirit of the world. So the first Anti-Beatitude, I got my little notes here. First Anti-Beatitude, blessed are the self-sufficient, for they rely on no one and control their own destiny. Blessed are the self-sufficient, for they rely on no one and control their own destiny. The self-sufficient. Oh, I picked myself up by my bootstraps. My hard work, my efforts, my labors, my gifts, my talents, my success, mine. It's all me. All me. The self-reliant. I don't need anyone. I'm doing this all on my own, and I get all the credit. So miserable. When we become self-reliant, what happens? We become an island. We become lonely. No one wants to work with us or for us. We become this just miserable, monstrous person because we're putting it all on ourselves. Self-reliance never leads to happiness. Never. Even when we think we can control our destiny, it never satisfies the heart. Instead, Jesus says, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those, instead of being self-reliant, those who depend completely on God. Those who realize that they are nothing and God is everything and they need him for everything. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. That they will be given the kingdom. They unlock the kingdom because they depend on God for all things. The opposite of that call to self-reliance. Number 2, blessed are those who avoid pain and discomfort at all costs, for they will never grieve or suffer. Blessed are those who avoid pain and discomfort at all costs, for they will never grieve or suffer. So blessed are you when you can avoid all suffering, all pain. Blessed are you. Just avoid that. Don't talk about it. Numb, distract, do whatever you need to do. And isn't it amazing if I can just push it away and act like suffering doesn't happen, if I can close my eyes, if I can do whatever I need to do to distract myself from pain or discomfort, then I'll be happy. I think this voice of the world says that happiness is found in this absence of suffering. And what do we do to get there? We scroll, we use drugs, alcohol, we go to distract, we participate in behaviors that are terrible just for a moment, a fleeting moment to find happiness, but it leads to just greater misery and greater misery. Instead, Jesus says, blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are you when you recognize that the world is broken. Blessed are you when you embrace and accept the suffering and the loss and death and brokenness and darkness. Blessed are you who mourn, because now I can comfort you. You're not trying to distract. You're not trying to numb. You're not trying to run away. Because you're acknowledging things as they are, I will be your comfort. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Those who acknowledge the brokenness and don't try to avoid it, but accept the suffering and allow me to be their comfort. Blessed are the aggressive and the dominant, for they take what they want and bend the world to their will. Blessed are the aggressive and the dominant, for they take what they want and bend the world to their will. The aggressive and the dominant, those who want to dominate others, those who think, I will be happy, I will be satisfied when I am number one, when I'm able to bend others to my will, when others serve me, when others acknowledge me, and I will take and take and take and take, and finally I'll have enough. And then I'll finally be satisfied. I'll finally have peace. I'll finally have happiness when I've taken enough, and I will take it by power and aggression. Never leads to happiness. Never. Always leads to misery, and there's never enough. I keep wanting more and more and more. And the energy that it takes to continue to dominate and to continue to fight, to be in that place wherever I feel like I need to be, to put others in their place, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Jesus says, rather, blessed are the meek. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who are gentle. Blessed are those who are subordinate, who will serve. Blessed are those who will allow others to live their life. Blessed are those who do not seek to control or to take, but rather to give. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who are kind and gentle. Because you know that kindness and gentleness can be mistaken for weakness, but it's not. This is where you will inherit the land. That the aggressive and the dominant, they can inherit kingdoms, they can conquer lands and peoples, and it will never satisfy. But the one who is meek and humble and gentle, they will inherit the land. The Lord will give them what truly lasts, true goods, true treasure. Blessed are those who hunger for success, power, and status, for they will be noticed, admired, and promoted. Blessed are those who hunger for success, power, and status, for they will be noticed, admired, and promoted. This is that voice of the world that tempts us to go for that glory of the world. I want to succeed. I want to go ahead. I want power. I want glory. I want status. If people see me, if people know that I'm something, if people know that I've succeeded, if I have these victories, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be satisfied. Then I'll have peace. But the problem is, it will never be enough. Nothing will satisfy my hunger for success. Nothing will satisfy my hunger for power. Nothing will satisfy my hunger for status. Nothing will satisfy. It's insatiable. As long as I'm made for the infinite, it leads to misery, always, and emptiness, always. And at what cost? Rather, Jesus says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst not for success, not for promotion, not for a position, not to be seen, not to be impressive, but blessed are those who desire a right-ordered society, who desire equality in the world, who desire their place, whatever it may be, who are satisfied with that. Blessed are those who want things to be right, to be good, to be ordered, to be holy, for they will be satisfied. I will satisfy them, not for their own success, but for fruitfulness around them. I will satisfy their longing and their desire. Only I can satisfy their heart. Blessed are those who keep score, who have zero tolerance for the failures and weaknesses of others, who refuse to forgive unless it is earned, who demand to be right, and who wield justice and the sword of truth with callousness. Blessed are those who keep score, who have zero tolerance for the failures and weaknesses of others, who refuse to forgive unless it is earned, who demand to be right, and who wield justice and the sword of truth with callousness. For mercy is weakness. Love is conditional. Justice is the greatest measure, and they will be the champions. Whew. Isn't that a temptation? To always keep score, to judge others and to hold them down by their faults and their failures, to tell them the truth, to use justice as the measure by which I measure all things, what is owed to them or owed to me. Justice, justice, justice as the measure. This callousness of what people deserve, to not forgive unless that forgiveness is earned. And in order to not look weak, I won't show that mercy. So painful. What a miserable existence. That leads to happiness? Because I'm the champion? Because I'm right now? Because I'm acknowledged now that I'm right, now that I'm the one, now that I'm holding them again, holding their sins against them, I'm the strong one, I'm gonna have happiness and peace? No, but that's the temptation. That's the temptation. Jesus says, rather, blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are those who do not count the cost. Blessed are those who give it away. Blessed are those who look at the scales of justice and say, you can have it. Blessed are those who forgive, even when the forgiveness is not earned or asked for. Blessed are those who are merciful, who look with compassion on the brokenness of others, on the waywardness of others, on the weaknesses and flaws and failures of others. Blessed are those who have compassion. Blessed are those who do not see grace and mercy as something that can be earned or deserved, but as a free gift. Jesus says to us, the measure with which you measure will be measured out to you. Brothers and sisters, if we use justice as our measure, that I only give you what you've given to me, and I keep everything in fairness and equality, and I make sure that everyone knows if I'm right, I'm right, and if you're wrong, you're wrong, in the end, that's going to be the measure I'm measured with. But rather, if I'm merciful, if I am merciful, and I pour out that mercy on the world, that's the measure with which I will be measured at the final judgment. How do I want to be judged by God? This is how I should judge others. And if I show mercy, mercy, and mercy, and mercy, then that mercy will be measured out to me at the final judgment. I don't deserve to be forgiven, so I'm going to forgive and forgive and forgive. Blessed are those who know how to look good and manage their image and are able to hide their true self. Excuse me. Blessed are those who know how to look good, how to manage their image, and how they're able to hide their true self. For appearances matter more than truth, and they will be safe from all humiliation. This temptation to keep up a facade, to let people see only what I want them to see, to maintain some image of the person that I want to be, but to hide my true self, to always hide my true self, to be deceitful, to lack integrity, to hide that behind the curtain, because if they would see that, what would they think of me? I'd be humiliated. I don't want anyone to see that. I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to keep everyone thinking that everything's fine, everything's great. That's what the world tells me to do. Is that happiness? Is that happiness? It's misery, because I know what's behind the curtain. I know the truth. And when I hide my true self from everyone else, no one sees me, and no one knows me, and no one can truly love me. I have successfully cut everyone off from myself by trying to hide my true self. Rather, what Jesus says, blessed are the clean of heart, the pure of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are those who have transparency, integrity. Blessed are those who allow themselves to be seen, to be known. Blessed are those who see the truth in others, not just seeing what's on the outside, but seeing their heart. You see, brothers and sisters, when we allow ourselves to be seen, to be known, to be loved, then we allow God to see us, to know us, and to love us. And what is the reward of that? That if we allow ourselves to be seen in purity of heart, then we get to see God in the beatific vision. The reward of the purity of heart and letting myself be seen is that I get to then see God. Amazing, beautiful gift. Blessed are the winners who crush their enemies. Blessed are the winners who crush their enemies. For when they are able to dominate and control those around them, they will be seen and acknowledged as superior. And then they will have peace, and then they will be happy. Blessed are the winners who crush their enemies, for when they are able to dominate and control those around them, they will be seen and acknowledged as superior, and they will have peace. Brothers and sisters, once again, this idea that we need to be seen as superior, that we need to dominate at all costs, that we need to win, that we need to be right, that we need to be the one, the pride that is within us that is so strong, that is miserable to need to dominate and control everyone. That's miserable to try to be the one that's superior and to maintain that at all times. That doesn't bring peace. That doesn't bring order when I'm controlling everyone and controlling all things and I'm dominating everything around me. No, that's misery. That's misery. That's oppression. That's not freedom. That's not peace. And rather, Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who seek to reconcile. Blessed are those who are willing to say, you can have it. Blessed are those who are willing to stop the cycle of violence, to say it ends with me. Blessed are those who are able to be like Jesus, who suffered death on the cross rather than to continue the cycle, who absorbed the violence and the anger and the hatred of the world in himself for the sake of peace. This is what God does. God doesn't give us what we deserve. We don't deserve mercy. We don't deserve to be reconciled. God came into this world to save us, to rescue us, to reconcile us. Jesus came to reconcile us to the Father, and we don't deserve it. We deserve none of that. And so we're children of God when we are like that, when we seek peace, when we take on, we forego what is ours in justice for the sake of peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be children of God. And finally, blessed are those who fit in, who stay safe, and who tell others what they want to hear. Blessed are those who fit in, who stay safe, and tell others what they want to hear, for they will avoid criticism, conflict, and suffering. Brothers and sisters, Jesus gives us the Beatitudes, and this is a way of life that is contrary to the spirit of the world, and the world hates it. The world in pride does not want to be humble, does not want to serve, does not want to be satisfied with the things of God or the things of this. They want it right now, here and now. And so when we start living according to the Beatitudes, Jesus says we will be persecuted. We will be ridiculed because it happened to him. He challenged the spirit of the world. He gave another way, the truth about who we're called to be. He gave us the truth, but the world didn't want to hear it. And so we too, if we're living in that truth, we will be persecuted and ridiculed. And it'll be rough. But Jesus says, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. For your reward will be great in heaven. Blessed are you when you're persecuted for the sake of righteousness and for my name. Suffer things for my name, because your reward will be great in heaven. Brothers and sisters, what are we living for? That's the real question. What are we living for? If our happiness is in this life, we try to obtain it in the spirit, in the Anti-Beatitudes, and it leads to misery and emptiness. It's terrible. It leads to misery, emptiness, sadness, sorrow, darkness, brokenness, anger, all those things. But if we live not for this life, but for heaven, if we live for Christ in the way that he has taught us, if we let go and we seek humility, a humble heart, living the Beatitudes, even when we're persecuted, we can have happiness, because our happiness is not in this world. It's given to us by Christ himself, by God himself. So let's use these Beatitudes and the Anti-Beatitudes to reflect and see where we're living well. And let's follow the way of the Lord, the Beatitudes, for true happiness in this life and eternal happiness in the life to come.